Welcome to our session, and thank you all so much for getting up early to be at an 8 o'clock session today. I hope all of you had a great week at Dreamforce this week, and being the last day of Dreamforce, we're hoping that you can learn a lot about Salesforce Einstein from our session today before you start packing for the end of Dreamforce. So our session today is point, click, predict how Salesforce admins enable artificial intelligence. Before I get into the topic, first of all, I just wanted to, by showing your hands, how many of you are Salesforce admins? Woohoo!
Nice.
As an introduction, we are the Salesforce admins within Salesforce. We call ourselves Org 62 admins because our internal org is called Org 62. Fidel Garcia is the senior manager for Salesforce administration, and Aaron Manhai is the lead system specialist, and I look after our Salesforce platform internally. So you can see that we have started our Salesforce journey for more than a decade ago, and we really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to roll out our new product features internally within Salesforce. So before I get into the topic today, just want to show the forward-looking statement. Sorry, the slides is not here, but you guys probably...
Joe, do you not have the right deck? You're not open the right deck?
You guys could probably have memorized it already at this point. But I just wanted to show the forward-looking statement and basically make your purchase decision based on the product features that are available today. All right, jump right into the topic. Org 62. So how Salesforce runs our business on Salesforce? So this is kind of an overview of our Org 62. So within Salesforce, we have more than 30 personas within the companies. And pretty much everybody has access to our internal Org 62. Among those, sales, services, and marketing are definitely the heaviest users, but we also have finance, HR, legal, R&D, and many other groups that are running their business operations on the same platform. With that, we have more than 30,000 internal users worldwide, plus our customers and partners that are using the same platform. We really push our products to the greatest extent. We call ourselves Customer Zero because we really maximize the usage of our new product features as soon as they are available to us. Salesforce Einstein. So for those of you that have been coming to Dreamforce, you probably heard about Salesforce Einstein about 2 years ago. And over the past 2 years, Salesforce has been rolling out and releasing lots of new capabilities. Many of the Einstein features are built right within the clouds themselves. For example, Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. But there are also lots of platform capabilities that is very flexible for you to be able to configure so that you can generate prediction and recommendation for many different types of a business. The best thing about Salesforce Einstein is that the artificial intelligence is already built into the platform itself so that you don't have to hire data scientists. And that's exactly the thing for our session today. It's really to show you guys, the admins, how you can configure Salesforce Einstein so that you can deliver artificial intelligence for your business groups. So here it is. This is how we use Einstein internally within Salesforce. And as you can see, sales users are definitely the most active and heaviest user groups. And because there are just lots of out-of-the-box Salesforce Einstein capabilities in Sales Cloud. So from the admin standpoint, we simply just enable them and configure those capabilities for our sales users. But you can also see there are lots of other platform features such as Einstein Prediction Builder, Einstein Discovery, Einstein Bots, and Einstein Intent. And these are the platform features that you can really configure and really modify them to meet lots of a different type of business group usage. So in summary, we really use our Einstein features very extensively within Salesforce. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Fidel Garcia to specifically talk about Salesforce Einstein Prediction Builder.
Thank you, Caroline. Good morning, everyone. My name is Fidel Garcia, and from a show of hands earlier, I saw that many of you out here are Salesforce administrators, just like myself. And many of you were probably asking, man, how can I leverage Einstein technology to help my business processes? Well, internally, we thought the exact same thing. So today, I'm going to share with you just a couple of features that we implemented for Service Cloud Einstein. We're going to talk about Einstein Builder and Einstein Agent. I'm going to talk about kind of what they are, how they work, how I set them up, what you need to have in place to set them up, and then I'm going to share a couple of use cases on how we implemented these features. First, let's talk about Einstein Builder. Okay, so what is Einstein Builder? Well, Einstein Builder lets you make predictions on almost any field in the Salesforce platform with just a few clicks. No models, no algorithms, and best of all, no code. You just point, click, and predict. So the days of hiring a group of data analysts to kind of scrub through your data and give you meaningful predictions, well, with the power of Einstein, you can do that naturally within the platform. So how does Einstein work? So at a high level, Einstein consumes data from your standard or custom objects within your org and shuffles that data over to AWS or Amazon Web Services, where that's where the magic happens. Data is crunched, and Einstein provides a prediction, which is then sent back via API to your local environment and displayed on on a field in your org, which you can display on a page layout. So what types of predictions can Einstein Builder provide? Well, there's really two different types of predictions. There's a regression and a classification. So what a regression model does is it predicts a numeric value. So in the case of a lead, let's say, a regression would give a numeric value that indicates the amount that a lead could potentially bring in, like a dollar amount. Whereas a classification would predict what group a lead would fall into. So in a classification scenario, Einstein will return a number value between 1 and 100, which will be the likelihood that that lead will fall into a particular category. Like, what's the likelihood a lead will convert? Those are the two different types of predictions. So what do you need to get Einstein Builder going? You're going to need about 6 months of clean historical data. This is very important because Einstein needs to have good data to actually build a good, solid model for you. Remember, dirty data in is dirty data out, and we really want to get as much as we can out of this prediction. Next, you want an object with room to create at least one field to write back to. I know it sounds crazy, but some of you folks out there probably have objects that are really huge, a bunch of fields. Just make sure you have one extra that you can have these predictions written back to. And lastly, Einstein Builder supports 3 different field types: formula, Boolean or checkbox, and numeric. So you want one of those fields that you would like to get insights on. So, as you can imagine, we had a bunch of business units coming at us like, man, I really want to leverage this great technology. And we were able to set a few of them up as Caroline demonstrated in the previous slide. But today I want to talk to you about one that I'm sure that all of you can probably use when you get back home to your orgs. And that's case propensity to escalate. So our support managers wanted to be able to identify cases that are more likely to escalate. And their desire was to be able to be proactive, to get ahead of these cases before they do escalate, and that way they can take the appropriate action. And Einstein Builder classification, as you guys know now, that's the best type of model to leverage for this type of insight. So the first step that we had to do in my particular org was create a formula field. And the reason is, if I had a checkbox that identified cases as an escalated case, I wouldn't need a formula field. I can just leverage that. But we didn't have that. So I had to create a formula field so Einstein can learn what an escalated case looks like. So the formula field is going to return 1 of 4 values. And by the way, these are the exact values Einstein can understand. So you need to have true values, which will represent closed cases that have escalated, false values for those closed cases that have not escalated, and these are the 2 values that Einstein's really going to learn to understand what a closed case, what a closed escalated case and a non-escalated case looks like. And then the null values are going to be for those open cases that we want to receive predictions for, and the ignore values are going to be for those cases that are outside of our support process. Internally, cases are shared amongst different business units, and we want to go ahead and filter out those cases that are not involved with a support process. And here's kind of what that what this formula field looks like. So it's a little bit complex, but you know, That's just how we have it set up here. But ultimately, as you can see, it's returning a true value, a false value, a null value, and that's the type of null you need to use, not in quotes, and the ignore value there. And that's what's going to return us those 4 values. And then you just create that field. And after that field is created, it's time to go to the setup, to the wizard there, and let's see what that looks like. So on the first page of the Builder wizard, you're going to have to name your prediction. I like to name my prediction things that are relevant to the type of prediction I'm creating. So case escalation probability is the name I used to help me kind of know what I'm looking at. Next is where you're going to select an object. So as we mentioned earlier, our prediction is going to be on the case object. So I selected case here, but you can leverage, standard and custom objects. Next is where you can segment your data. So this is where you have the opportunity to segment out those records that are not involved in your support process. Because I took care of that in the formula field, there's no need for me to do that here. And I just skipped this step. The next step is where you're going to select the field to predict. Now, I created the formula field earlier. I named it escalation status, and that's the one we're going to use to build our prediction on. The next step is you need to tell Einstein which record should Einstein use. So let's say we had a checkbox and we're using the lead scenario, and we said, hey, I only want to focus on leads that bring in this much revenue. Here's where you can set up some filter criteria to accomplish just that. This next step is where you can select which fields are meaningful to Einstein, which fields on the case in this situation are going to have meaningful impact on the model. So this is where you can use all the fields, but what I did was I had to filter some stuff out. Like for instance, if you have fields that aren't being leveraged in your org, maybe they're fields ready for deletion, or maybe their fields used by other business units, you would take those out. Maybe you have fields that you don't want included in this model. Maybe you have a gender field or maybe an ethnicity field that you don't feel is right for this type of prediction. Here's the slide where you can filter those kinds of fields out. Next is where you get to name the predictive custom field. So Einstein actually creates the field to write back for you. You don't do it declaratively. You can't go to the setup and create these fields. This is a very special field that gets created. And one point of interest of this field is it is not impacted by workflows, triggers, or anything like that. So when this field gets updated, you can't create a workflow or fire a trigger off of that. The last step is to go ahead and click that Build Prediction button. And what happens when you click that button is data starts moving from your org to AWS. And all the magic happens over there, right? It can take a little bit of time for that to take place, depending on how many records you have and depending on the complexity of your model. For us, it took about 24 hours. And once that's done, you're going to come back and you're going to have a scorecard. This is really neat because it gives you the opportunity to look at the overall strength of the model that was generated for you. It's going to give you the predictors that really were impactful on the model that was built, both negative and positive. So you might see some fields that are really great. Hey, this model here had a really high score because of these fields that you selected. Some fields may not, right? So you might want to remove those, go back and do it again. But if you're happy with the scorecard you have, you can go ahead and move forward from there and click the button to accept it, and AWS will start sending predictions to your org. And again, it's going to be written back to that field. You drop it on your page layout. How we rolled it out was I removed field level security for every single every profile for that field, and then I created a permission set that had field level security. And so all the pilot users were added to that permission set, and that's how they were able to leverage that. And as we roll forward, we're going to give it to the manager profiles after the pilot. Next, what are some lessons learned from implementing Einstein Builder? Well, first of all, the predictive custom field. Understand it does count against your overall field count for your object. So if you're kind of nearing your limits there, please keep that in mind. And also, again, they will not impact triggers or workflows or anything like that. So if you guys have any questions about how you can get around that, you can talk to me after this, and I can help you out there. Object data should be clean and have enough records to create an accurate prediction. So it's very important that your data is very clean and going good to go so that Einstein can build an accurate model. Just an example, right? So we had a sandbox where I set Einstein Builder up, and we had a bunch of test data in there. But I just wanted to check the API and make sure everything's working. And I turned it on, and the model came back saying that my data was random, right? It's like, so data was totally terrible. So Einstein's smart enough to know that. So and just make sure you have clean data, and you should be happy with the results you get. The support managers were very delighted with the ability to track these case escalations, and the feedback was very positive. Next, let's talk about Einstein Agent. Well, what is Einstein Agent? Well, Einstein Agent helps accelerate case resolution, and it does it by providing recommendations on case fields, up to 10 fields, actually. So let's see how Einstein can help drive productivity. So like I mentioned earlier, Einstein creates recommendations on certain fields, and they can be displayed in Lightning as well as in Classic. And the 3 types of supported fields are pick list, checkbox, and lookup. So what's needed to set up an Einstein Agent Builder, Einstein Agent model? We need at least 6 months of clean historical data. Much like Builder, you need good data to go in, so good data will come out. And up to 10 fields that you would like recommendations on. You don't need to use 10, but you can use up to 10. Okay, so how do you turn it on? Well, you look for Einstein Agent in the setup, and you're going to see a link there to it. And this is the little toggle switch that you hit to enable Einstein Agent. Once you flip that, some things happen in the background, some processing takes place. It's not immediate, so go get a cup of coffee, come back, and you should be good to go. And next, you're going to be prompted with the fields that you can include in this prediction model. And for this case, I selected case reason, functional area, general application area, and sub-functional area. Please note that if you cannot find your field here, where's my field? Check field level security. You probably don't have it on your profile. Okay, the next step here is to click the build button. Once you click that build button, just like Builder, data starts flowing from your org to AWS, and the magic is happening. And once it's done, it will send you a notification letting you know it's done. And then you'll be able to go to the next slide, which is where you can actually rate the confidence of each field that you selected earlier, right? So what that means is you can go to your field there and slide this little slider back and forth. And what that does is sliding in one direction tells you what the confidence of that prediction is going to be. It can increase the confidence of the prediction, but it will decrease the number of recommendations you get. Sliding in the other direction, you'll get more recommendations, but less confident. So you want to find that sweet spot that's right for your business, and do that for each field. So now that we've done that and we've enabled it, what's next? Well, we have to set up a way to view these recommendations. And like I mentioned earlier, you can do it in Lightning and you can do it in Classic. So in Lightning, you'll set up a quick action and add those fields to that layout, and add that quick action to the Lightning page as a Lightning component related record. On the Classic, you would just edit the page layout and add them to the custom console component action type. And let's see what that looks like. So in Lightning, we have to set up a quick action, so that's what I'm doing here. I went ahead and I created the update record action type, and I just labeled it something meaningful, right? Einstein recommendations. And when you hit save, it brings you to the page layout section, where you can go ahead and drop those fields down to this layout in any order that you like, and that will create the action. Once that's done, you go to the Lightning page edit screen, and if you see over here, there's the related record deal there. You drop that over on the Lightning page here, and it adds a component. And over here on the right is where you will select the update action. The one I created earlier was Einstein recommendations. And once that's done and you save it, those folks who are able to view this Lightning page are going to see this. This is the component that I shown here. And as you can see, Einstein Agent's making recommendations. So for case reason, it's saying this is the best value here. And for general application area, it's saying this is the best value. At this point, the user can then save this record and save these recommendations, or they can select their own. So Einstein's not going to overwrite your data. It takes an actual user to actually make a selection on these pick lists and save. So in Classic, it's very simple. You would just go to the custom console setup, and you will add that. Here I added it to the left sidebar, just Einstein agent recommendations. It's already there available for you. And once you've done that, this is what it's going to look like, very much like in Lightning. I have it here on the left. In Classic, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to tell you the best recommendation. And again, here, it's not going to save it for you. It's up to the agent to actually click Save to leverage those recommendations. So, what are the lessons learned from implementing Einstein Agent? Well, first of all, for me, I had to check my field level security. I was one of those guys. I didn't see the field, right? So make sure that you have that. Next, a really neat thing is you need to have the visibility here to see this custom support report. So if you look under here, you're going to see this new report type called Case Recommendations Report. And what this report does is it actually shows you the records that got written to by Einstein Agent, right? So not every case is going to have a recommendation, but with this report type, you can go ahead and find those ones that did and help identify them and check the model out. And one other note here is make sure you understand Einstein's not overwriting your records. A user literally has to click Save on that. Well, that's all the time I have for Service Cloud Einstein. Thank you very much for your attention and your time this morning. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Aaron.
All right. Thank you very much, Fidel. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Manheim. I'm a lead system specialist on one of our internal admin teams here at Salesforce. And I'm here to talk to you about a couple of features from our Sales Cloud Einstein suite. It's a suite of features that uses machine learning and AI to boost the productivity of your sales team and allow them to sell smarter and faster using the power of Einstein intelligence. Now, there's a number of other features within the Sales Cloud Einstein feature set that I'm not going to be able to talk about today, but I would encourage you to check them out on your own. Those include Einstein Forecasting, Einstein Inbox, Einstein Opportunity and Account Insights, and Einstein Activity Capture. So that's one of the features I'm going to talk about today is Einstein lead scoring. So what is Einstein lead scoring? So Einstein lead scoring is a machine learning feature that analyzes all of your past lead data, both custom and standard fields, to look for patterns and discover factors that led to the conversion of those leads in the past. It builds a predictive model. It tests all the data to find in your org to find a predictive model that fits your data set, and then applies that model to all of your existing lead data. It assigns a score for each lead between 0 and 100, where the higher the score, the more in common your existing lead data has with leads that have been successfully converted in the past. Then displays the top factors that Einstein used to come up with that score right in the component on your screen, right, that you can see in the bottom right corner. Also, Einstein lead scoring will refresh the model every month, so you're guaranteed that you always have the most accurate predictions on your lead score. And as well, if you change a value on your lead that factors into the model, leads are refreshed every hour. So you can be sure that if you change a value on the lead, that it will then be updated within an hour. Okay, so let's talk about why we implemented lead scoring here at Salesforce. So prioritization is one of the keys to success. Our sales development reps are very good at their jobs, but the volume was very challenging. Like many of you, we are a large organization. We get hundreds and hundreds of leads created every single day. Some of them are good, most of them are bad. Our reps really needed an efficient way to figure out which leads have had high value and the potential to convert to an opportunity. We figured in an average day, a SDR would get about 200 new leads into their queue. They'd have 150 new leads per day. They'd probably have about 200 workable leads in their queue. They'll make about 50 calls, and all of this will lead to maybe 3 to 4 converted leads in a day. So we really needed to give our reps a more efficient way to determine what high-value leads were and which ones they could spend their time working on. So less time spent on prioritization means more time they could work nurturing those leads. Additionally, we found that the average SDR in our organization would take about 3 months to ramp up their business acumen, their knowledge of what makes a high-value lead. So with Einstein lead scoring, we kind of have a guide that not only tells them what is a high-value lead, identifies it very clearly, but also tells them the factors that led to that. So we found that with Einstein lead scoring, we reduced the ramp-up time for our SDRs from about 3 months to about 1 month. It's a pretty significant change. So now that we talked about the what and the why, let's talk about the how we implemented Einstein lead scoring here at Salesforce. So with the summer 18 release, you can actually modify, you can customize the model to only include the fields that you feel are relevant to your business. So initially, when we implemented Einstein lead scoring, we created a model using all fields. We let Einstein build the model with all the fields, and then we started with a small group of pilot users, which was a mix between newer reps and more experienced reps. We wanted the new reps to see how Einstein lead scoring would help them, ramp up their business knowledge. And then we wanted the more experienced reps to be able to reflect on the accuracy and relevancy of the scores that Einstein was generating. So after about a month of time, we solicited feedback from all of the reps and decided to exclude certain fields that the business felt were no longer relevant or obsolete to their business process. And you can see below on my screenshot, this is the setup page where you would deselect the fields that you do not want to flow into the model. Okay, so then as well, so when you implement Einstein lead scoring, what we do is we automatically create a Salesforce IQ integration user and corresponding profile in your org. Now, it's critical that you ensure that this profile, the profile attached to this user, has at least read field level security to all fields. And this is critical because what happens in the background is this user takes all of your lead data, sends it over to AWS where we apply these machine learning prediction models until it finds the right one. If you do not give at least read field level security to all fields for this profile, then the model will potentially be created inaccurately and you might get misleading results. So you have to ensure that this user's profile gets at least read field level security to all of your lead fields on your object. And additionally, you have to make sure that all of your target end users have at least read field level security to all of the fields included in the model. And this is important because if you do not, they will potentially not be able to see the factors on the leads and they won't understand how the score got generated and they might not trust it. Okay, and then continue on. So what we did with Einstein lead scoring, we created a permission set based on the Sales Cloud Einstein permission set license. And we assigned it to users via the API using the permission set assignment object. We also added the Einstein lead score field as a column to all of our public list views. And we encouraged our SDR leadership and all of our end users to also add the field to their list views and sort from the top down. So all of the highest rated leads show up at the top and they know which ones to work first. And then finally, we added the leads insights component, which you can see on the right side of my screenshot, to all of our record pages and so that the score value and the factors can be seen both in the desktop experience and in mobile for all of our users. All right, so then we talked about how we've used Einstein and machine learning to boost the productivity of our sales development organization. Now let's talk about how we use Einstein and machine learning to help our sales organization. So we're going to talk about Einstein opportunity scoring. So what is Einstein opportunity scoring? Well, very similarly to Einstein lead scoring, Einstein opportunity scoring is a feature that uses machine learning to build a predictive model based on your past opportunity and account data. It analyzes all of your past opportunity and associated account details, as well as the field history and the associated owners, custom fields in the associated owners, such as yearly win rate, to build a model. It then applies that model to your existing opportunity data, assigns a value between 1 and 99, where the higher the score, the more in common your existing opportunity data has with opportunities that have been closed won in the past. It then displays the top factors, both positive and negative, in the UI, in the component, which you can see by just hovering over the score value anywhere in the Lightning Experience UI. It'll show you the score and then the top factors, the top positives and the top negatives. So why do we implement Einstein opportunity scoring here at Salesforce? So just like prioritization is a key, visibility is also a large key to success. Our sales leadership decisions on where to spend their time to nurturing deals was largely based on anecdotal knowledge and feedback from AEs, so-called hallway conversations. Our sales leadership really needed a better way and a more efficient way to know where wins were imminent and where roadblocks were possible. And they need to be able to see that in a glance, and they need to see it everywhere, in their list views, in their opportunity data, in their forecasting page. So this Einstein opportunity scoring gives us a much faster way, a much more efficient way for our sales leadership to see where deals were progressing and ones that were stalled out. As well, just the same problem that our SDR organization had, our account executives also needed additional help trying to do with their prioritization. We figured if all of our account executives spent at least 30 minutes on prioritization in a day, it would be, we're talking upwards of 500,000 hours a year spent on prioritization. So less time spent on prioritization means more closing deals. You know, ABC, always be closing, right? As well, our sales operations and sales strategy folks, while they're really good at their job and they're very good at using reports and dashboards, found that the traditional methods of finding trends in sales cycles was difficult, was laborious, and time-consuming. So with Einstein opportunity scoring, they could quickly identify trends in sales cycles, as well as see the top factors that led to those greater wins. So how do we implement Einstein opportunity scoring? So like almost all of our Einstein features, most of these features are so very easy to use. You can use them right out of the box. Very little customization is required. But so just like with Einstein lead scoring, Einstein opportunity scoring also turns on a single user and a profile when you enable it, right? And just like with Einstein lead scoring, you've got to ensure that you give the sales insights integration user profile at least read field level security to all fields on the opportunity and account objects. And for the same reason that you need to give all field level security to the profile for lead scoring, the same reason. If you do not give at least read field level security to this user's profile, the model that is built in Amazon Web Services might potentially be inaccurate and lead to misleading results. So we also used a permission set based on the Sales Cloud Einstein permission set license. And in this case, we decided to use this based on their profile. But in this case, we actually used a custom trigger to automatically assign that perm set to users of a certain profile when they either were changed to that profile or when they were created with that profile. And this is important because we simply did it out of the volume of users and the movement in that organization. And then finally, we added the Einstein Opportunity Score field to one of the top 4 positions in the highlights panel, as you can see in my screenshot here. And this is important because we wanted our users to have the same experience with their desktop experience as well as in their mobile. And in mobile experience, you can only see the top 4 fields in the highlights panel. Okay, and then finally, we also we added the opportunity score field as a column to our public list views. And we encourage our sales leadership and all of our AEs as well to add the field to their list views and sort from the top down so that they knew they had the highest scored opportunities at the top of their list and they knew which ones to work first. They don't have to think about prioritization. We additionally created an opportunities with opportunity score custom report type, which is required because currently the opportunity score is a separate object and currently cannot be integrated directly into your existing reports and dashboards now. So currently you have to create a custom report type, opportunities with opportunity score report type, and then you have to recreate those reports to include the field. And then finally, we added the opportunity score field to the opportunity list on the forecasting page, which you can see in my screenshot below. And this is fantastic for our sales leadership because they can compare their forecast amounts and their pipeline directly to see what opportunity score that Einstein assigned, and they could determine, whether those are actually the high values or whether their forecasting amounts might be inaccurate. And so thus far, we've only been using it for about 3 or 4 months, but the feedback we've gotten from all of our reps and all of our sales leadership and sales development leadership has been only positive, and we feel pretty confident that it's just going to get better as time goes on and the model gets better. And safe harbor, but there are some enhancements that are coming to the Einstein scoring features, which in the next couple of releases, which will allow you to have more granular control over which fields and what's data flows into the model. So you can be confident that the scores that Einstein is generating are as accurate or in line with your business. All right, with that, I will hand it back to Caroline.
Thank you, guys. So just a really quick summary, some of the key takeaway after you see Fidel and Aaron's presentation. So first of all, try to understand what are the out-of-the-box features of a Salesforce Einstein. They are out-of-box features you can enable, but they're also platform capabilities that are a lot more flexible. And work with your business groups to find out how artificial intelligence can help them. And you want to start your AI journey with clean data, and that way it's going to help you to understand how you can adjust your model to give you the right prediction that you're looking into. Start with something that are easier, and then you can venture into things that are more complex so you gain the confidence. And here is the list of resources. So definitely there are lots of materials on our trailhead for Salesforce Einstein. And I would suggest that you start with these three. It's going to give you a really good overview then before you venture into the other features. So with that, we are ready for Q&A.
So I wonder if you're using scoring in Salesforce, did you first deactivate the normal lead scoring that you had and looked at it 6 months, how it works, or you just called all leads, for instance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we did actually, we did do some analysis. We actually compared, we did about 6 months, we looked at the data and we compared it to see whether the scores that we were getting from Einstein aligned with the lead scoring that we had existing. And in fact, it did. And we found that the correspondence was really high. So we felt confident after about a month that Einstein scores were accurate, and the business also confirmed this as much. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, say again?
Potential for duplication.
There are other additional like lead score or there's lead deduplication features, but it's a separate feature from Einstein lead scoring. Yeah.
Two questions. You said that 6 months of data would be good to start teaching it. With leads, they're typically converted already. So does it go back into converted leads to look for that?
Yeah. That is actually what lead scoring does. It looks at the converted leads. It looks at the converted lead data, and that's how it actually finds all those data points, right? And then it applies those data points to your existing leads. So it's only looking at converted leads.
Do something to put him.
One more.
Oh, sorry.
With future capabilities, and maybe you can't say, but some of our fields are way more important than others. And you know, if this field is this, it's 90% conversion. Is there a way to rank the fields that you choose, or will there be a way?
I can tell you now that there isn't a way, and safe harbor, maybe. Currently now, though, but I do know that in the future there is an enhancement. They're looking to give you more granular control of what goes in. So I believe the idea is that you're going to have field value level ability to confirm. So you can say, okay, I only want leads that were converted in the past that have a status of blah to factor into the model, right? And if any other statuses do not factor into the model. So it's going to take, you need to think about this. You need to work with your business, as Caroline mentioned, to make sure you actually are building something that is valuable to your end users.
I think with general.
For lead scoring, opportunity scoring, can you clarify, can you have multiple models on each object? Like in our process, we have like these opportunities are used for something, and we also use opportunities for something very differently, and it wouldn't necessarily make sense to have the same model for both of those.
Right. Yeah. Currently, that's not a capability.
Safe harbor?
Safe harbor. Possibly. I'm not going to say it's not.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. My features, so actually Fidel was talking about, he's got Service Cloud Einstein features, the Einstein Builder and Agent. Mine are Sales Cloud Einstein, and they're actually two separate license types.
All four.
Yeah, so my two are Sales Cloud Einstein license types. His are Service Cloud Einstein license type.
And for mine, Builder does have its own license types. So you mean like when you purchase, how many licenses, how many builders do you get? There's a model for that. There's a free, there's an out of the box, and an extended. So it's different.
Agent is a separate model.
Yes.
Or separate license.
Separate license, right? Sorry, go ahead.
How security-wise, how all the data is going from your secure cloud into somewhere else? Do we have some documentation how
Like the transport from your Salesforce organization to AWS?
yeah.
Possibly. I'd have to look it up. We could look it up for you. I'm not sure. I don't have it on hand right now.
Just for Builder, I know Builder is different than Agent. Builder, in our latest release, has its own API in the back end. So there's no API users for Builder. It's all done on the back. So it's a little bit different. But if you're interested, meet with us and we'll get your information and get that to you. Thank you. I think that's our
I
time.
think we're out of time, but thank you
so
all,
much.
folks,
Thanks
for coming here this morning.
Appreciate it.